All right, guys, no coaching video this week. Just wanted to mix it up a bit so we're not doing the same thing every week. And I'll tell you what we're going to do shortly, a bit of something different. And yeah, it'd be worth hanging around for. But before we get to that, a couple of notes. This week, the divisions 1, 3 and 5 in the women's footy are having a bye. It's basically so that at the end of the season, their grand finals are a week later than the other divisions. So there's going to be less women's games this week. Therefore, those that used to getting 2 games, with the second game being a women's game, there will be a good chance you might just get 1. We'll certainly want everyone to at least have a game. So if you normally just do 1 women's game, we'll make sure you get a game. This Wednesday night, looking at doing some skill drills for first and second year field umpires. So if that's you, make sure you bring along a whistle. A reminder about spectators. If you feel that where they're sitting on the day is a safety issue, I was at Marion on the weekend, and there's a couple of ladies sitting there that they had babies. The babies would have been no more than 2 or 3 months old, and they were literally a couple of meters away from the boundary line. So I just simply stopped the play when it went out of bounds and said, I'm not restarting it until you guys are over the fence. It's, it was just crazy that they were there. So if you see something like that, ask the spectators to get over the fence or move back. If you need the help of the match day officials, that's what they're there for. There was some video of that we've had to go through and have a look, quite a few instances of at West Croydon, Kilburn. It was a pretty hot game, and it was certainly noted that the spectators at that ground were too close to the play. So it's not only West Croydon, obviously there's plenty of grounds around where that happens, and I need you guys just to be aware of it and work with the clubs to make sure that areas are cleared when they need to be. All right. So I mentioned we've got something a bit different tonight, and I haven't mentioned milestones until now. The reason being, we're going to have a chat to a couple of those achieving milestones this week. One that we're not going to have a chat to, but he's doing his 50th game, is Xavier O'Toole on the boundary. So one of the Xavier. But the other 2 milestones, we'll take one at a time here. Both field umpires. They're both doing their 500th Adelaide Footy League game this week, which is pretty significant. 2 big characters, 2 great guys, 2 really good chats. So I'm going to get Craig Trewatha to first unmute himself. And Craig, you there? Craig, come on. I did see him join before. He left a work meeting so he could come on. All right. So Craig Trewatha is one of them. And here we are. Very good. Hey, mate, just put your camera down a little bit so we can see the whole of the face. Yeah, beautiful. Very good. You're a good-looking man, so we need to see that whole face. For those that don't know, Craig used to run pro running, and Tara McAuliffe, who still calls the pro running these days, used to give him the nickname the porn star, which was rather amusing. But yeah, Craig, congratulations on the 500 games, mate. A big milestone for you.
Thank you very much, Colin. It's something terrific. I'm really looking forward to it, and I believe I'm running with my learned colleague Sam. So yeah, it'd be terrific.
That's right. So Sam Clayler is the other milestone umpire this week, and he's doing his 500th game as well. So Craig and Sam are going to run together at Goodwood, and yeah, good on them. So Craig, take us back to the start. How did you first get involved in umpiring?
Well, I was playing with North Adelaide, and I was injured in a trial game, and my father said I was about 6'3" and about at that time, what would I be in kilos? 65 kilos. He said, look, I'm not going to let you play footy until you put on some weight. And so I thought, I was working with a guy called Ron Joseph, Neil Austin and Colin Egar. and they were all football umpires, and they said, why not give it a crack? So there I am. I jumped in. That was back in 1967. For most of those guys watching now, that's about when your granddad was hanging around. So yeah, I've been doing this for 55 years. It was a terrific journey. And once I did it once, I really enjoyed it. And that was the end of it for me. I stayed with it.
Yeah. So where did your journey take you? Which panels did you go through? Obviously, a fair bit at the amateurs and Adelaide Footy League.
No, actually, I started directly with the SANFL. After about 3 weeks of training, I went to Norwood North. I umpired my first Div 1 Norwood North Grand Final at the age of 21 on Prospect Oval, Jeps Cross and Hope Valley. And you'd think I would have gone on from there, but unfortunately I didn't. I found women and alcohol. So that sent me up to the, we used to go to the country every weekend. So we'd all meet in Hindmarsh Square. One person would have a car. This is so foreign to the young guys of today, but we would drive to Waikerie. I'd get out of the car. I was the only umpire. I'd umpire the C grade game, or the under 18 game at 10:30, and then the A grade game at 2:15. And there were 3,000 people at those games. And then you had to wait until the guys had gone on to do Berry, Loxton and Renmark to pick you up. So they never picked you up until about 9 o'clock at night, by which time they were shit-faced, I was shit-faced. It was great fun, but yeah, it was the ruination of a young man, unfortunately. So I did something like 600 odd games with them before I went on to join SAFA, where I did another 300 or 400 games. And probably the highlight of that was I got extraordinarily fit during that period, and the SANFL had been watching me. They invited me to come back and do some trials, and I was appointed to one SANFL league game. Unfortunately, you might say, why do you only ever do one league game? Well, it's very hard to explain in the 1 minute that I've got to explain it, but it's a very bitchy society out there. And at the time, you used to go to the local meat shop and look in the window to see where your appointment was. And I didn't know to go to the meat shop. And so I went off and umpired with SAFA that weekend, the second weekend, thinking that I didn't have an appointment. And they took a very dim view of that. And there was nothing I could do about it at the time. So I decided that was my career with the SANFL and decided to go back to SAFA.
So you were appointed to the game, but you didn't umpire. Is that what you're saying?
I know I umpired it. Was the next one, because they rang me with great joy and said, you're going to do your first SANFL game. And I never did another one.
So I never knew that story. So who was that game between? And like, was there much of a crowd back in those days? It was the biggest game in town. Yeah, so it was North and Central, and it's a blur to me. So I can't even remember who I umpired with. Do you remember how many were there?
Oh, upward of 4,000.
And do you remember any of the players? Was it back in the?
No, I can't even remember that, to be honest. If I sat down, I could find the budget somewhere and think about it. But yeah, you've got the details, have you? You're going to surprise me.
No. It's the first I've ever known that you did a SANFL league game. So I'll have to do some research, and if I find anything, I'll let you know. But I guess with the SANFL, even though you only did that one game and then you went on to SAFA and other leagues, and obviously Adelaide Footy League, I know that you have been a big part of the SANFL Umpires Association. Just tell us about that involvement.
So I joined back in 1967, and I'm still a member, of course, 50-something years later. I was made a life member about 10 years ago. I was their treasurer for 6 years. I'm now the life members rep. So I've been very, very active in that area. But yeah, again, it was also very unusual for someone to be a member for 45 years and not be a life member. And I think that's just because I went off and umpired in all the other associations. And if you recall, about 25 years ago, the SANFL said, we don't want to have anything to do with the amateur league, Norwood North country leagues. we want to just concentrate just on SANFL umpires. And so if you weren't in that clique, you just sort of wandered off out to do other leagues. And that's what I did. I wandered off and still trained occasionally with the SNFL, but went to SAFA. And then Barry Lewis, I think, invited me out to the Amateur League. And that's where I started about 25 years ago, 20 years ago.
So the Adelaide Footy League, or the Amateur League as it was known back then, it was a totally different place than it is now. What changes have you seen over the time?
Well, it's got hugely more professional and massively so, right from not only the umpiring, but the changes to how umpires are treated is probably the biggest thing. We are treated with a lot more respect. And if you go right back to when I first started, you pretty much had to watch out for yourself because you're the only umpire there. You know, the quality of the grounds is also something that's improved amazingly. They were slop heaps even 25 years ago, and now they're beautiful. I umpired on Karen Ralton Oval on Saturday. It was like a billiard table. I couldn't believe how lucky I was. And afterwards, a beautiful hot shower and a seat in the sun. I thought, this is magic. And I got to watch bowl as well.
Nice. And player behaviours changed a fair bit during that time too, I would imagine.
Massively. So you think that things are bad now? They don't even compare. You would swear back at the players back then. You'd get a mouthful, you'd give it back, and mostly guys, the whole of society's become more effeminate, if you like, and more polite. But back then there were a lot of wharfies running around and they wanted to bash people, and you'd frequently find people behind the play down without their front teeth, and you couldn't do anything about it because you didn't see it. It was just the way it was. It would take me an hour of this interview to talk about how it's changed, but it's changed massively, and it's much, much better the way it is.
So there will be some on the line that weren't aware of a really unfortunate, nasty incident you were involved in, and it happened during my time. I started the Local League in 2015. In 2016, there was the incident with Adam Rumbelow from Ross Trevor. Give us your recount of that day's events.
Yeah, so it wasn't Ross Trevor. It was
Rosewater. Sorry, Rosewater.
Yeah. So Rosewater. So the game started, and we're only about the game started with a free kick because a guy got knocked down, and you've seen this particular video, so you've watched it in great detail. But the ball went out to centre half forward or half forward flank, and I tried to take control at that point. Gave the guy a 25 metre. And turned around, he gave me a mouthful back, and I turned around to give him a yellow card, and he ran at me charging. I heard the steps coming, but the centre half forward, who was a big burly guy, pushed the guy offline, and he went past me. I felt the wind go past me. I upgraded it to a red card and sent him off. And his teammates manhandled him off the ground. Now, he was the captain and he was doing his 300th game. There were a lot of dignitaries there. Jay Weatherall, a couple of travel agents were making major donations. And then he was manhandled over to the dugout, but he broke free of his carers and ran up behind me as I was giving the red card details to the timekeeper. And he came up behind me, and as he went to king hit me, the coach caught up with him and pushed him off balance so that he didn't actually strike me in the temple where he was aiming, but his arm went around and punched me in the eye and nose and concussed me badly. And I was umpiring with Wayne Rose that day, and he was a dithering wreck. So after I recovered, after about 5 minutes, I decided to keep going. And if you've ever wondered why yellow and red cards now, you don't go over to the scorer's bench, it was because of this incident that Colin decided we should stand in the middle of the oval and call out the details and get acknowledgement from the card authoriser. But yeah, so I was pretty badly shaken up. And I think after the game, Rosewater went into accident control or damage control. Jay Weatherall got in his big black limousine and fled the ground, and the travel agents. There we are.
There you go. I've done my research.
Yeah.
So I actually went. We do have video of the incident, and I went and looked at it today, and it's so graphic and quite upsetting. I decided not to share that, but I did find the photo to see, the damage that was done, which obviously ended up in the paper, front page of the paper. Adam Rumbelow got 20 years ban, which essentially finished his career. And I guess the question I have for you, Craig, is like, what impact did it have on you mentally? And I know that you went out and umpired the following week, but that must have taken a fair bit of guts to do that.
Yeah, it did actually. And I thought if I don't go straight back, I probably never will. So, yeah, it was quite an emotional day and quite an emotional time thereafter. And with your encouragement and the right appointment, after 2 weeks, I don't think about it very often, but people still say to me, I can hear them saying, that's the guy who got knocked over at Rosewater. So, yeah, it's still pretty current in a lot of people's minds, and but doesn't affect me now at all.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
We could talk more about that, but let's move on. So I guess the other challenge that you've had, and we all have challenges in life and in umpiring, but the other main challenge you've had in the last 2 or 3 years is your body. Really, until this year, you just haven't been able to umpire because of your inability to move. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I had I'm a gym junkie, and I go every day to the gym, and I run and I swim, and I do often 2 sessions a day, which probably it's not to my betterment. I overtrain, but this particular day I pinched a major. I pinched my spinal cord, and for 6 months no one could tell me what was wrong. So I sat in a wheelchair for 6 months, and finally I couldn't go to the toilet. And on Easter Friday 3 years ago, I went to hospital, which also happened to be the first month of COVID. So they left me in the driveway of the hospital, and a nurse in full gear came out and took me inside. It took me another 5 days before they could get an MRI, and my specialist was watching, and within 24 hours he'd operated, and I was on the way back to recovery. But that was just an amazing experience as well. I mean, it still causes me problems, and I'll never be as I was, but I still hope to get back to pro running at the end of the year. So our Saturday morning training sessions that we run, and I'd encourage anyone else that's interested in keeping fit over summer to come along. I made a recovery from that back injury, only to tear my Achilles and wear a boot for another 12 weeks. And so on Saturday, I'm back. I'm 100%.
Yeah, and it must make it that bit more satisfying to be able to reach 500 and do the milestone game with Sam and run out there this weekend. How much are you looking forward to it?
I'm really looking forward to it. And my partner, who's never seen me umpire, is even begrudgingly going to come out. My grandkids might even come out. Yeah, we should have a really good afternoon. Anyone else who wants to come along, I might even buy a few beers. So
there you go.
That'd be terrific.
Fantastic. Thanks, Craig. And we could talk all night, but we've got to move on to Sam. And so, Sam, if you're going to mute yourself, Sam, the man.
Can I just say, Colin, before we go, what the secret to umpiring, guys, if you're young out there, and I've had 4 terrific umpires this year, is make sure that you agree what's involved, the amount of commitment with your partners prior to starting umpire, because you'd know this, Colin, the amount of time you put in, if you're going to be good at it, you've got to run and commit to it. And it's a lot out of the family time. I know Sam's going to tell all the jokes and I'm being far too serious here, but I tell you what, that's the key to umpiring for 55 years and enjoying it.
Fantastic. Well, well done again, Craig.
Thanks,
tremendous effort, and great chatting to you. And enjoy the weekend on and your 500th game.
Thanks a lot. See you.
Yeah. I think he's going to be at Goody Saints. Thanks, Jason. That was just Jason Romulo on the phone.
Adam Rumbelow or Jason?
Adam, Adam Romulo.
Very good. Well, Sam, similarly, a huge milestone for you too. You must be absolutely rapt to be able to reach it.
Yeah, didn't think I'd get there. When I first started umpiring, I only thought I'd umpire for a couple of years. I didn't actually think I'd, go this long. But like I tell people, it grows on you.
So what made you take it up, and when was it?
1993. So Mick Hanna, who some of you might know, he was doing Division 1 back then, and he was bugging me. I used to work with him, and he eventually got me out. But a very similar path to a lot of people here. Played footy, got injured all the time, got to that 30 and said, that's it. So yeah, went umpiring.
And has it always been with the Amateur League, Adelaide Footy League?
Yeah, it has. I was in the first academy, SANFL Academy, with Ron Bettridge. So that's the only sort of bit of experience. And he gave us 2 under-17s SANFL games, just as a bit of a thank you, but that was about it.
Yeah. And what made you love it so much? What drew you in?
Well, initially, like a lot of people, it's to get fit and a bit of money, and to actually fill the void when you're not playing footy. But then what kept me there, which I didn't realise, which is I've worked it out as I get older. The more games you do, the more people you umpire with, you get friendly with them, have a good time, make good friends, and that's really what it's all about.
So some of the highlights, obviously you umpired Div 1 for quite a while, and was it the grand finals of that thing that stick with you?
Yeah, a couple grand finals, the state game in Perth. That was before the West Coast St Kilda game. That was a big buzz. But one of my highlights that I didn't think was going to be one. I was at the back end of my Division 1 career, and it was 2007. So I got an appointment, a Div 5 appointment, doing a grand final, Fitzroy versus Adelaide Lutheran. And I don't know if some of you probably do the same thing as me in the old days. You get the paper and have a look at who's won, who's lost, some of the lower grades, have a look at the goal kickers. And there was always a guy called Ben Hart for Fitzroy, if you remember him, if any of you remember him. Prolific goal kicker. And he always, the name just stuck with me because I'm a Crow supporter, and, Benny Hart. And I always thought, was there a relationship there? Anyway, on this particular appointment, it was Fitzroy and it was Ben Hart. He was coming towards the end of his career. I've never met him before, so I'm expecting a guy that's a massive full forward. How comes this guy short, stocky, a little bit overweight? Both his knees are strapped heavily, struggling to run, and I thought, this can't be the guy, surely not. And it was, and he was fantastic. I reckon he kicked 9 that day, and won the grand final for him. It was one of the best full forward performances I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, nice. And you've got a coaching role currently, but that's been going for a long time. And I can sense that you love that. There's a
I sort of mellowed a bit. When I first got the gig before your time, I used to be a lot harder than what I am now, and a couple of guys actually quit because of me. So at the time,
poison pen.
But Dominic Marta, that's what I wanted to say to you. So a lot of my coaching philosophy comes from Dominic Marta. He's just a fantastic guy. He was my first year coach. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore, but he taught me a lot. He taught me everything.
So what is it about coaching that you enjoy?
Oh, I like seeing, I like giving my opinion and people taking it on board. Some choose not to, which is fine. But the ones that do, and then they actually go up and do Division 1, like Bo Bradley, he's one of my disciples. It gives you a real big buzz. But even now, just running in the pre-season with young Cliff, the South African guy, he's never done A grade, and just help him out a bit. And he's doing A grade now, so I'm really happy.
Love seeing people progress. I can see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And it's Bo Gurdon. He has Bo Bradley as his Facebook name, and I've done
Yeah,
the
I
same
always
before
get
too.
confused. Yeah.
What and you also helped John Cronshaw put the whistleblower together, which we all love reading every week. Wait, how did that start? How did that
I
come
don't know.
together?
I think John started doing it. It was pretty boring, so I started doing some cartoons and stuff like that. And then he got some good feedback and just kept on going. And John's got a really strange sense of humor. A lot of the stuff that he does, only he laughs at. So I don't know. I think I've got more of a broad sense of humor.
Yeah, nice. No, you do a great job. So, is there a memorable story or a funny story that comes to mind? The thing about Adelaide Footy League is there's always something happening. There's always
look, there's
something
lots.
going on.
There's lots of stories. Like Craig, I could stay here all night. But Craig got hit with a handbag one day. I'll never forget that, by a lady, a spectator out at Fitzroy. I had the state game, so you rock up there and you're in Perth. Everything's really serious and all that, and met some. And like I said, it was the AFL game was afterwards. And I was just on cloud nine out at Subiaco Oval. I was worried I wasn't fit enough, but it didn't make any difference. You're just floating on air at that stage. And we come off the ground, but the Western Australian, the other umpire, there was a bit of controversy when they appointed him because he was going to go to the waffle. So he might not have been the best umpire, but so that was the feedback that I got. Anyway, he wasn't that friendly towards me. He was a bit younger than me. Yeah, anyway, so there was at the end of the game, because they play with a Burley, and I thought, oh, this one's going straight home. Just as I went to put it in my bag, someone grabbed me from behind and said, "Oh, thanks for that. We need that. Thank you." I thought, oh, damn, bloody lost my opportunity. I could have taken this Burley home. Anyway, so I was really pissed off, and they said, "Oh, look, there's a function happening now, So we go to this function area after we showered and changed, and bug me dead, they present the Burley to me, and I've got it here.
Nice.
So that was really good. And just as a side story, so a year goes past, and I'm sitting and watching the Almost Footy Legends with Sam Newman and that, and they have this waffle guy. Umpire, and he goes to bounce the ball and hits him in the head and knocks him out. And it was the guy that I was umpiring with. So there's a bit of karma there.
So Sam, a bit like what I talked with Craig, life and umpiring hasn't been all good news. It's presented its challenges, and your biggest life challenge was, I guess, was it 3 or 4 years ago when you discovered you had cancer? And you had to take that year or two off umpiring. Just tell us a bit about that experience.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, as you expect, pretty tough. So very similar to Rob Kane, but my experience was different because it's different for everybody. A lot of similarities, but at the end of the day, you work out what's important. You work out who really cares about you. You work out that you still like umpiring, and I still do. And I came back, and I remember sitting because I spent over 3 months over different periods in that year, 2018, in hospital at the Royal Adelaide, the new one, which was fantastic, by the way. And I would look over and I could see Adelaide Oval. I could see I could see the lights that were on a Friday night playing footy. During the day, I could see the people running around the weir, and I really missed it. So that was really good driving force for me. Yeah.
And how hard was it coming back physically?
It was very hard. I came out. I only came out because people like John and Craig and Ian Gore, and I came out, and the very first training session, because I just didn't know. I didn't know if I could run. I didn't know anything. I couldn't even do half a lap, and I was going to quit. I thought, no, I can't do this. But the guys said, look, just come out next week. Just run a little bit further. You can walk. I'll walk with you. And then slowly but surely, I did 1 lap. I did the warm up. Then I went in and did the starters to do bits of the proper training. it was hard.
Yeah, well, testament to yourself, dedication and commitment and determination to get back. And you're such a valued member of our umpiring panel in so many ways. And congratulations for reaching the 500 games. And I truly hope you and Craig have a great day on Saturday. You must be really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am. Thanks for the opportunity, Colin. Really appreciate it.
Excellent. Now, we'll hold off any discussion about instances from the weekend till next week. But if anyone would like to unmute themselves and either make a comment or put a question to Sam or Craig, now's a good time to do it. Otherwise, you can go up to them on Wednesday night at training and obviously give them a congratulations then. But there is an opportunity. We've got 3 or 4 minutes if anyone would like to say anything. They've all gone shy. No? All right. Well, if that's the case, then no one wants to come on. Sam, thanks for sharing your story. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wind up?
Oh, no, I got some more funny stories if you just got a couple minutes.
Yeah,
I always remember the big grand final out at Nord Oval did too, back in the early 2000s, and Gazer versus Edwardstown. So Jarman was playing for him. It was a big night, and then as it got towards the end of the game, because everybody was here on the Friday night before the Saturday grand finals, first time they've done it, and 7 reports, and players were just getting king hit, and we were just, Paul Montesi and I were just reporting players left, right, and centre. Howard Noble was the emergency umpire. He comes running up towards me. He goes, "Oh, excuse me, Sam," in his proper accent. He goes, "Oh, look, I want to make a report." I said, "Oh, okay, what is it, Howard? Is it someone's punched somebody in the head? Someone's, grabbed somebody where they shouldn't?" No, the trainer for Gazer. I've reported him for swearing. I said, "You're kidding me? We've got people killing themselves out here." He said, "Well, I asked him to stop, but he wouldn't." Anyway, what actually happened, the trainer had a stutter. And that's a true story.
So he was swearing at him, but stuttering.
He was stuttering, so that's why he couldn't stop swearing.
You know what happened to him in the end?
No, he got off. Yeah.
You've not let Howard forget that one, obviously.
No.
Yeah, nice. No, very good. Anything else? Last one? No, that was the main one you wanted to share.
Oh, sorry. Look, there's a lot. I mean, I umpired with John Cronshaw once, and John's a bit oblivious to a lot of stuff. So we're doing a low grade final out at Kilburn. I think it was Prince Alfred and Portland. Portland crowd get a bit excited. They're in front, wet, muddy conditions. They're in front all day, but it's a very low scoring game. And they'd kicked the only 3 goals. So anyway, Prince Alfred in the last quarter just kick a goal, and then they kick another one, and then they got a few points more than the other team, than Portland, and then Johnny pays a deliberate out of bounds, which was really unheard of back then. And the crowd for Portland just go crazy. Anyway, so Prince Alfred guy goes back, he's on the boundary, and he bloody kicks it, puts him in front, and the siren goes. So the crowd start going crazy. They wanted to kill us. So John, he's oblivious to all this. He starts looking for handshakes, patting people on the back. So I grab him and I say, "John, let's get the hell out of here." So we race into the Kilburn change rooms. We just get in there, and this guy banging on the door, and he goes, "Hey, Umps, you got to come out of here. They're killing themselves out here." I said, no, it's all good. But John didn't realise Prince Alfred had won. He was oblivious to it. Ignorance is bliss.
It's a pity John's retired. We would have had him out there with you this week, but I'm sure he'll be there watching. Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Really appreciate your time. Nice. Congratulations again. Appreciate everything you do. We'll look forward to seeing you guys out on Wednesday night. We can have a drink at the Umpires Association put on after training.
Yep.
Big week for you guys. So well done again.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That's it for tonight. Adelaide Footy League's been hitting the headlines today. If you haven't checked out the social media and what's going on, I think Gazer's in the news, Salisbury North's in the news. Luckily, none of it's got to do with umpiring. But yeah, there's a bit happening at the moment. So, which we love about the Adelaide Footy League. There's always something happening. All right, guys. Look forward to catching up with you on Wednesday night, and congratulations once again, Sam and Craig.